16, low through the night is 11, and Sunday blustery west-southwesterlies bringing rain, outbreaks of rain here and there. Top temperature 14 degrees. It's really cool on Sunday. High waters at 1:04 this afternoon, sunset 5 to 10 tonight, low water 18 minutes past 10, high water 19 minutes past 4, and sunrise in the morning at 13 minutes to 5.
Visit the Manx Glass and Glazing website and get your instant quote online. manxglass.com.
Need a new TV? Waltons offer a great selection from the latest Samsung QLED TVs to LG OLEDs. New models arriving this month. To see if we can deliver, visit waltons.im or call 611 711 for current operational details.
When you're going on holiday, don't forget your cat's holiday. At Begode Cattery, we care for our guests just like our own cats. Phone 676 947 or see Begode Cattery on Facebook.
Cowley Groves offer free post-lockdown property advice and assistance island-wide. With super competitive rates, high-quality video marketing, unrivaled social media presence and on-call 24-hour professional service. Call 625 888 today.
To help support the Man Cat Sanctuary, you can visit our website and donate to our food bank or visit Bradley's gift shop. We rely entirely on the generosity of our supporters and worldwide visitors. Visit our website at mancat.com for more info.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint, furnished by Magic Carpets.
"36 days and no further confirmed positive test for coronavirus. So the Isle of Man has no active cases. Total number of confirmed cases is 336. 6,196 concluded tests. 13 people awaiting results and no one awaiting a test. That's the situation we're in today. Live on the Mannin Line, the Education, Sport and Culture Minister, Ramsey MHK, Dr. Alex Allinson is with us. And if you want to get in touch, you can text 166 177, email studio@manxradio.com or call 66 13 68. Well, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Andy. Lovely to be back in the studio.
Good to see you. And again, this has been weird. Obviously, earlier on this week, the Health and Social Care Minister was in. We had a children's champion in. And here we are back in the studio. So you can help, really, because you wear two very prominent hats, politician and medical professional. We're all trying to contextualise what's happened in the past 3 months. Have you made any sense of all this?
In a way, yes, but it's that emotional sense for it, because we've all been really busy, we've all been running around, we've all been doing the right thing. So coming in here, it is different. Somebody cleans their headphones for me. They use me to use hand sanitizer on the way in. We've adapted, and I think the Isle of Man's been incredibly adept at adapting. But actually, emotionally, to take on everything that's happened in a very short period of time that seems like it's gone on forever, I think we're going to need a nice, relaxing summer to come to terms with this, really.
How's your inbox looking? What are the subjects?
It's changed. It really has changed very dramatically. At the moment, I think a lot of people are worried about opening up the borders, but other people are worried that they want to go across, particularly to the UK, to see family, friends. I've had lots of contact from university students and their families saying, we could be evicted next week. We need to go over and pick up our belongings. What can we do? And certainly the Council of Ministers are aware of these pressures. We're trying to deal with them. But it's that tension, really, of trying to get back to a sense of normality whilst recognising the risk is still there and acting responsibly. You know, planning for the best, going out, socialising, going out for restaurants, going to restaurants and meals again, but always at the back of your mind, when this comes back, how are we going to deal with it? And that's the key, really, this week with the Chief Minister announcing this stay responsible phase we're going through. Be aware of the risks, enjoy yourself, get back to normal, but when this comes back, we can deal with it because we're in a much better place now than we were in March when all this started.
Can you put this in terms that we're all going to understand then? You say when this comes back. It's when, not if.
To be realistic, I think so. I hope I'm wrong. And anyone who's got a crystal ball, please contact you and phone in. when you look around the world, it's still there. This virus is still there. We've seen countries that thought that they got rid of it coming back, normally because of the movement of people. And we saw that in Germany in terms of one of their meat plants, which had imported workers coming into it. We saw that in New Zealand with people coming over, actually, people from the UK on compassionate grounds visiting and taking the virus over there. And that's one of the things. We can't keep our borders locked down forever. We have to respond to people's ability and rights to travel, both for compassionate reasons, for economic reasons, and because that's what we do. This is a seafaring nation. We've always travelled around the world. It's in our blood. And once you do that, you increase the risk. So it's how you handle that risk and how you then deal with it if we were to get another case or another outbreak.
So if we do get cases, are we going to reverse? Are we going to lock down? Will we go back to social distancing? Is the hand sanitizer, is that all going to come back?
Not necessarily. And again, that's what the Chief Minister announced on Monday, is this phased response. We had to do everything at once in March. We had to close down the economy and also close down society. If we were to get one or two...
Do you think we did that well?
Yes. I say we, when you say we... The Isle of Man community did that very well. Government can only direct, can only say, we think this is what you need to do in your best interest. It was the Isle of Man people who took that on board. And actually, the really interesting thing is some of those people who had pre-existing medical conditions who were asked to shield, they've been doing it already because they could see on the news the threat there. They didn't wait for government to do the right thing for themselves. They did it already. And I think it's those people who deserve a lot of gratitude, because one of the concerns from a government point of view and a healthcare point of view right at the start of this was that Nobles was going to be overwhelmed, that it wouldn't be able to deal with the number of cases in the same ways we saw in northern Italy. And so those people, elderly or with pre-existing medical conditions, who said, I don't want to be a burden on the NHS. I don't want to go in a hospital, both for my own sake and the sake of this country. I'm going to stay at home. However much it hurts me, I'm not going to have my kids around for Mother's Day. I'm going to stay at home. Have actually done so much to get us through this.
I don't want to be flippant, but I keep getting this question. Can C19 or any coronavirus spread to cats or dogs or animals? We hear Manx whispers, cats have got it.
Coronavirus is a family of viruses, and cats get it, animals get it, humans get them, going from a common cold to feline flu. Now, COVID-19 is a new form of coronavirus that we and animals have never seen before, apart from we think it originated in bats, who have got loads of coronaviruses in their system. And so it's spread from the animal kingdom to humanity. And that's why it causes problems, because we've never dealt with this before. We've never built up an immunity to it before. There is some evidence that animals can get COVID-19. However, we don't know whether they can transmit it, and they don't seem to get on well. There have been worries about ferrets and lions and various animals getting it. They probably can, but it doesn't affect them, and we don't think they can spread it. However, we are aware that people have been told that their cat's got coronavirus, and they've got quite concerned about it. We're talking about COVID-19 here. We're not talking about the rest of the family of coronaviruses that won't do us any harm because we're used to them.
We've heard about remdesivir. The EU has this was the remdesivir, I think, was developed to combat Ebola, wasn't it? Yep. And they're saying that remdesivir can help mitigate the effects. Is that true?
It can, but again, we're looking at the most severe cases and them surviving a little bit longer. When we go back to the avian flu, there was all the talk about Tamiflu at the time and whether it saved lives. And actually afterwards, when the research was looked at, it probably meant that you didn't get as sick and you probably got better a little bit sooner. But these aren't a cure per se. They're part of a treatment. More interesting was the work that's been done in the UK looking at dexamethasone and using steroids for those people who need ventilation, and actually showing that it dramatically reduced the mortality. That has changed clinical practice. Using antiviral agents at the moment, they help in specialist areas, but we're lucky on the Isle of Man that at the moment we've got nobody in hospital and certainly nobody ventilated or on ITU because of COVID-19.
Okay, this is Maxine who says, every year I get the flu jab as well. Will the flu jab be here in September?
Yes, and we need to take that on board as a society. The one of the concerns from across is if we were to get a bad flu outbreak, and why wouldn't we? I mean, everything else has gone skew with this year. If we were to get a bad flu outbreak and at the same time a surge in coronavirus, that double whammy, that could be very difficult to deal with. So certainly the Department of Health are really going to be active this year to get as many people as possible to have the flu vaccine, to make sure people stay well. Whether we have a coronavirus vaccine at that time, who knows?
That was the next question.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There's so much work being done and so much collaboration. One of the first things that China did, and I know politically they've been criticised, but they released the data on the genome, the DNA, the RNA of coronavirus, so that people could then start working on vaccines and treatments and also working on the diagnostic tests really quite early. So for the first time in humanity, you've got everyone working for the same reason, to get a decent virus, to get decent treatments out there as soon as possible.
Typically, how long does it take to validate and to test a vaccine?
Normally it would take years, but everything's been speeded up with
3, 4,
this.
5?
Yeah. For some of the vaccines we've introduced, they've taken 5, maybe even 10 years to get them from initial development right through the human testing. And again, we need a vaccine that's safe. We need a vaccine that does the job, is effective, but is safe at the same time. So that's why there's been so much work being done, and actually clinical trials now, on humans already to see if it's effective. I think a vaccine would obviously be the goal everyone's working towards. But until we get there, if we get there, because it's not a done deal that we will. I mean, people have been working on the common cold for decades to try to find a cure for that. If we get the vaccine, obviously it's going to be helpful. But in the meantime, those common sense things like hand sanitizers and making sure that if you are unwell, you don't go out and you get medical advice from the 111 line are the way we're going to stay safe on this island.
Schools are back, so are you expecting, or would you expect, a spike of infectious diseases, the summer colds and coughs and what have you?
I've seen that already, actually. One of the emails I got yesterday was from a mother whose child had got a temperature at school. Always happens, but of course now all the alarm bells ring. They've been tested, it's negative, we'll move forward. But certainly that's one of the aspects we're looking at. In the United Kingdom, they saw a decrease in all the summer cold and everything like that because people weren't mixing. So you didn't get the spread. We know that schools can spread various illnesses like chickenpox and common colds. What we don't believe is that they're a spreading ground for COVID-19. And so as we were talking earlier, if there is another outbreak, we probably won't go straight back to closing down schools because we know the effect it has on children's mental well-being. So we will try to keep the schools open if it's safe to do so, or perhaps bring in social distancing or adapt. And I think that's what we're looking for now. Rather than lockdown or freedom, is how we adapt to the threat if it comes back to our island.
Well, with the Education, Sport and Culture Minister, Dr. Alex Allinson, is live on Manx Radio. We're streaming on video as well. If you've got a point to put to Dr. Allinson, by all means. A note in that says, if our borders aren't open soon, as families who've worked long and hard need a family holiday in the sun, how will this affect the schools in September when pupils are taken out for holiday, as they've already lost a lot of school time and disruption to classes as well? So a couple of questions then.
Yep.
Holidays in September for school-aged children?
Yeah, I mean, what we're planning to do is carry on with the school year that we announced. So kids will go back to school in September. Obviously, at the moment, if people want to go away on holidays, that's not permitted. It's only essential travel or travel for compassionate reasons. But the Chief Minister at the press conference yesterday announced that we're looking at trying to relax that a little bit so that people can go across for non-essential travel. So going on holiday hopefully will be permitted over this summer. But the other concern from a government point of view is looking at what's happening in the United Kingdom. They've announced that on July the 4th they're going to have a big relaxation, but we know that there's still cases over there. There are some people warning about a second spike. Do you really want to be travelling to the UK at a time of a second spike of coronavirus when things might be starting to lock down again? There is that uncertainty. I mean, certainly my holiday this summer's been cancelled. The events I was going to aren't going. The hotel's shut. The flights have been cancelled, so I'm staying put.
A question about our immune system, just to say that will people's immune system have been pauperised? Will it have gone into a lower gear because they've not been interacting with people over the last 3 months? And obviously the immune system is immensely powerful.
It is. It's very powerful and very dynamic. And I think that's a very good question. In answer to that, we don't know. I mean, we know that younger people, fitter people have very active immune systems. That's why coronavirus doesn't seem to affect children and young people in the same way that other viruses do and other diseases do. We also know that people on various drugs can suppress their immunity. But if you're healthy and if you've got a good diet and you don't drink too much and you don't smoke too much, your immune system's probably going to be fairly good. Again, there were concerns in the United Kingdom about vitamin D levels and people being indoors all the time and not getting enough vitamin D, and perhaps that would help your immune system. So we're looking at generally sort of good eating, looking after yourself, try to keep your immune system as good as possible. But social isolation in itself wouldn't necessarily stop your immune system. It just means it isn't being as challenged as possible, as much as possible if you were mixing.
Susan, there's a question. Dr. Allinson, I'd like to thank Dr. Allinson on his diligence during the coronavirus. Could you confirm where you currently stand on the cannabis debate and when we can expect something to happen in this regard? I don't know whether that's medicinal or recreational. And also, obviously, you've been very active in the assisted dying debate as well. How's that?
Well, it's great to get back to debates about other things rather than coronavirus, and I think that shows that we are getting back to a sense of normality, because all these issues have been put on a little bit of pause over the last couple of months, but they're certainly still on the agenda. In terms of medicinal cannabis, I still feel that it's something that the Isle of Man should embrace. There's good evidence about it, that it works for some people, but you need the quality and you also need the supply, because before we went into all this, the United Kingdom have said, oh yes, you can have it, but you can't get it anywhere. They were importing it from Holland. I think on the back of everything we've been through, obviously the Isle of Man government is going to be looking at how we further diversify the economy here, how we move forward economically at a time when we could be facing the greatest recession and depression in a century. And so I think looking at other ways of employing people, of creating new sectors of the market, the right things to do. And I personally think the medicinal cannabis and industrial hemp is a way forward. So I'm hopeful that we can progress those as part of a wider process of redeveloping the economy and trying to get us back on our feet. In terms of assisted dying, we had a very, very good debate about that earlier on in the year. I think there is still a lot of people who are interested in the concepts of assisted dying, interested in giving people the autonomy when they get towards the end of their life. And obviously that's become quite up close and personal to a lot of people during the coronavirus pandemic, that people have suddenly looked at their own mortality and thought, if I get ill, do I want to be on a ventilator? And I think we need to look at that whole debate again when the time is right, not during a time of fear, but at a time of optimism where we can actually value people's autonomy and move forward on that.
Just coming back to medicinal cannabis, where do you think the Isle of Man could fit in the supply chain? Growing, refining?
Growing, manufacturing, exporting, certainly. We've got everything we need here. That we've got secure borders, we've got the space, we've got the ability through agriculture. We've got some fantastic farmers here, but also we've got the transport links we need, and we've got the ability to change our legislation very slightly so that we could carve out a niche for that. And one of the interesting things about growing medicinal cannabis is then you can actually supply the home market. Then you can actually supply the people of the Isle of Man with a quality product that's been tested, that's medicinal grade, but also isn't at an exorbitant cost, as they found in the United Kingdom.
Now, regarding the sixth forms, or what we call Year 12 and 13, lessons learned during lockdown, do you think students will do more from home using tech, possibly preparing for the future? And also, Francesca asked me, just said, what exactly are your plans to ensure that the remote learning best practice and lessons learnt and shared with all island schools to ensure there isn't a repeat of kind of disparate learning offered to children during lockdown as well? Are you arranging for a forum or a workshop for head teachers to share learnings?
Absolutely. And again, I suppose throughout society, the health emergency amplified some of the disparities and inequalities that were there, whether it be income, whether it be educational possibilities, and whether it be how schools provide various options. in terms of remote learning, some schools were fantastic. They'd already been developing things over a number of years, but that was often due to the teachers themselves having a special interest. Other schools hadn't done that to the same extent and needed to try to catch up. What I've asked the department is to set up a working group where we can get some of those teachers together, when we can actually share best practice, because yes, we may need to deal with coronavirus again, or a school burns down or gets flooded, but we also have to deal on a daily basis with those students who can't come in, either because they're sick or because they've been excluded and suspended from school. So let's see how we use technology now to make sure in the future we can provide a much better educational system. In Ramsey, for instance, students go down to QE2 for various lessons like psychology, because that's a better way of having a combined class and teaching some of the smaller subjects, such as foreign languages. Why don't we now use technology to do that? So to broaden the curriculum and actually supply that teaching in a different way rather than bums on seats.
And you don't think that the cost of the technology will be a barrier in the future?
I think we've seen over the last couple of months that cost isn't a barrier, that all you need is a mobile phone. My father last night was Zooming in with some of his relatives all over the UK to do a pub quiz. He would never have done that in March and January. He never knew, he didn't even know what Zoom was, neither did I. But we've adopted these free technologies. I'm now FaceTiming him anytime I want to have a chat with him rather than phoning him up, because I know that seeing his face, I can tell an awful lot more about how he's doing in social isolation in central London than I can just by picking up the phone and listening to his voice.
Here's Graham, who said, how useful and important has Ramsey Cottage Hospital been, and will this now mean the government will rule out any plans to close RCH down?
Ramsey Cottage Hospital has been crucial for a number of reasons. Number one, the facilities there that have continued, such as the dermatology clinics, have been very, very successful. The inpatient ward there has taken a lot of pressure off of Noble's Hospital in terms of decanting some of the patients up there to free up the beds for acute medical care. But also the minor injuries unit has become an all-island facility. It always has been, but people didn't want to travel all the way up to Ramsey. It's a long way, apparently. Now, because they've been asked to, rather than go into A&E, they've appreciated the facilities there, and I think it's put them on far more on top of people's agenda. So I believe that the future of the College Hospital is absolutely safe.
Do you think that's a view shared throughout government and civil service?
I do. I mean, certainly talking to the Health Minister, there have never been any questions about the future of the College Hospital, and actually what we're looking at now is expanding the services that are available there. One of the issues with Sir Jonathan Michael's report and integrated care is all about bringing care to the person rather than dragging the person down to a facility for the care. And so if we can manage to provide more care in the community, but more specialist care closer to where people live, that has to be an advantage. I mean, the renal dialysis unit in Ramsey Cottage is absolutely first class, and it really serves the people of the north, but is now, I think, appreciated by far more people in terms of the quality of care it provides, because they've got fantastic staff there.
We're live with the Education, Sport and Culture Minister, Dr. Alex Allinson, through till 1 today. Call 66 13 68 or email studio@manxradio.com. Text 166 177 till 1.
Manx Radio. Listen to us on your smart speaker. Alexa, play Manx Radio.
Practical decor doesn't have to be plain, so make your home beautiful and easy to maintain with Cardine flooring from Magic Carpets. Our Cardine showroom is bursting with stunning flooring from wooden effect to ceramic and slate designs, all available in a gorgeous range of colours and patterns. So choose Cardine flooring and choose Magic Carpets to find the perfect style for your home on Clock Tower Industrial Estate, Foxdale.
Magic Carpets stand on a reputation.
Ellen Vannin Fuels are here for you, supporting all the island's fuel needs, from farms and industry to homes and small businesses. Ellen Vannin Fuels. You can rely on us to keep our island moving. Call us on 844 000.
For a relaxing night's sleep, visit Miller Chaps of Ramsey. Browse our range of Temper, Ceiling, Rely On and Hypnos beds and talk to our friendly expert staff. And right now we've a great range of offers with up to 50% off beds and bedding and big reductions on headboards too. For quality beds at prices you've only dreamed of, visit Miller Chaps of Ramsey.
Creating a home where you'll love to be. Millie Chaps of Ramsey. Ramsey.
I began to struggle with the stairs, but I didn't want to leave our family home. So my daughter told me about Acorn Stair Lifts and their new showroom in Douglas. I was able to try the stair lifts and find the right one for me and the home I love. They were so friendly. The whole process was hassle-free and they offered the whole package from installation to servicing. Choose the island's first choice for stair lifts. Acorn Stair Lifts, South Quay, Douglas.
Call Acorn Stair Lifts now on 672 414 or call into our Douglas showroom.
If you develop any symptoms of coronavirus, a high fever, a new continuous cough and/or loss of smell or taste, however mild, self-isolate immediately and contact the COVID 111 helpline for advice. Visit gov.im/coronavirus.
They got your whole house in their hands.
When you need scaffolding,
DPM.
On time and on budget,
DPM.
We'll beat any quote.
DPM. We do it all at DPM.
DPM promise to beat any like-for-like scaffolding quote by 10%. So when you need scaffolding, call the friendly, experienced DPM scaffolding team on 612000. T's and C's apply.
We do it all at DPM.
New pension legislation announced in the Manx budget allows greater pension freedom for Manx residents. Come and talk to Blackford Financial Services. We'll give you information about your specific pension options and how this may affect your retirement planning. To find out more and to arrange a no-obligation chat about your pension arrangements, call Blackford Financial Services on 627 674 or visit online at blackfords.im. Blackfords. Retirement planning made easy.
Join us this June on the 27th and 28th for another Caroline North. We have no less than 13 presenters for you this time round, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning on the Saturday with John Ellery, right through till 9 o'clock on the Sunday night with myself, Dave Foster. And the weekend is sponsored by Van System Limited of Newmarket. It all happens at Radio Caroline and Manx Radio.
Radio Caroline North. Back on 648 and 1368 AM. Pure nostalgia with Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint. Furnished by Magic Carpets.
And David's live with the Education, Sport and Culture Minister. Hello, David. Hello.
Hello, Andy. Hello, Minister.
Hello there, David.
Hello. I don't know if you've had a chance to read Mrs. Baker's report that she published a couple of days ago into online provision at Ramsey Grammar. But she's very critical of your department. So I wonder what your thoughts were, where she explicitly states in that report there seem to be no clear lines of central support from the desk, and I felt myself to be very much alone in trying to action video conferencing programs to enhance our online provision.
I've obviously worked quite closely with Annette Baker in the past and now as Minister. I think some secondary schools in particular who wanted to do live online lessons did have problems to begin with because they were using different technologies. What we tried to do from a department's point of view was give them access to Microsoft Teams and try to promote that because, again, looking back a month or so, there were some real concerns about using Zoom and the security aspects of it. And I'm sorry that she felt that she wasn't properly supported by the department during that process. But what I'd now like to do is learn those lessons. And certainly I know she's been contacted by GTS in terms of giving far more training for using Microsoft Teams so we can use its entire functionality. But the issues are that online learning isn't the whole picture. There's a whole lot of other things in terms of remote learning that are very important as well. So using recorded lessons can be equally as effective as live lessons or virtual classrooms.
Okay, yeah, I understand that, Minister, that's fine. And a second point I'd like to raise, if I may, and that's about the postcode lottery that really does characterise our education system on Ireland. My daughter is in Year 9 at Castle Rushen High School. She has gone back to school, not knowing what GCSEs she's doing next year. They've asked for the options. They've not been told. Her friends at QE2 have started their GCSE programme already. Why is there such a difference between the two schools?
Okay. Well, I'm sorry she's experienced that. I don't think actually that there is a postcode lottery in terms of educational provision in schools on the island. I think we do have some very, very good schools on the island, some amazing teachers, but they work in slightly different ways. And one of the benefits of the Isle of Man is that certainly the secondary heads and primary head teachers have got a huge amount of autonomy because they know their students and try to devise the school and the school curriculum to meet that. Now, if you are having problems with Castle Rushen in terms of options, please have a chat to the head teacher there, because they are probably doing things in a slightly different way to QE2, but they still have exactly the same aspirations and standards as any of the other secondary schools on the island.
So when will she know what she wants to take, David?
How long's a piece of string, Andy? I don't know. So she's going in doing things like art and food tech, which she has no intention of taking next year. Yep. In reference to the minister saying contact the school, they're not answering my communication.
Okay, well, I apologise for that. I mean, again, when we've opened up schools, some schools have decided to try to catch up. Some schools have decided to leap forward. So I know some schools have started teaching, the September curriculum already. Whereas other ones have been trying to look at any of the deficits in people's learning and allowing people to catch up. I think both strategies have got good validity, but you need to tailor those around the individual student and assess where they are in their learning.
When do you think she'll know? She'll know, presumably, David, by the end of this academic year, won't she?
One would hope so. One would hope she'd have known by now, because normally Castle Rushen have traditionally started GCSEs after the TT half term. Now, bearing in mind, Castle Rushen is the weakest academic secondary school on Ireland. So, they need that time at that school. There's issues with staffing there, I think, which the Minister's well aware of. But we go back to that postcode lottery phrase, Minister, because it came up in the PAC hearing, the Accounts Committee hearing.
They were talking about a postcode lottery in terms of particularly remote learning and online provision, which I disagree with. I don't think we have a postcode lottery here. I think we have differences, and I think what we've seen is with the health emergency, it's exaggerated a lot of those differences right across our community and our society. What my job now is to try to put those differences right, try to raise the bar so that if this happens again, or as we move on in terms of using remote learning, everyone has exactly the same opportunities, and more importantly, that parents and pupils know what to expect, because we weren't expecting to have the viral pandemic. We weren't expecting to have to rely far more on remote learning. Now we are far more aware of that. And with remote learning, we need to widen it out so that it encompasses not just those people who have to stay at home because of the pandemic, but also those people who may have to stay at home in the future because of medical conditions, because they can't get into school, or because they're actually isolated because they've been suspended from school. So I think we need to learn the positive outcomes of this whole episode, which has been very difficult for everyone on the island, and actually move forward with a much better way of providing education for every child.
Okay, David, keep us up to speed with how that pans out, would you be interested to know? And that dovetails in with a couple of questions I've had regarding what's the progress with the new school at Castle Rushen, and also Rob Callister was talking Onken MHK, saying that Onken needs a new school.
Yeah, so in terms of Castle Rushen, it's obviously a big development. It's a brand new school. What we did last week in Tynwald was to vote the first phase of that, which is building the new sports grounds there. Those are going to be built on a bit of land that was donated. Those are going to be finished next year, and then we can move forward with the full development of the school site, because we're going to build the new school on the same site while the present school is functioning. So it's going to be a little bit of a jigsaw to get it all working together, but there's a commitment certainly from government that we're going to go ahead with that. At the same time, there's an ambitious programme for QE2 for a new science block there that's going ahead, and we will then also be looking at slightly minor works right across the estate. Schools are important, the buildings are important, the facilities are important, but what's more important is the staff and the pupils themselves. And I suppose you can get sidetracked by big glossy buildings. We always have to remember in education that it's the pupils, it's the children who are the most important thing through the entire system.
Will there be a pool at the new Castle Rushen?
That's still up for debates between me and the Treasury Minister, I'm afraid, in terms of finances. At the moment,
obviously there's a plan to put a pool at King William's.
There are various plans down south for various things like pools. Sport is very important. Provision of sport to the community as well as to schools is very important in the south, and we will be looking at that. But my main priority at the moment is to get some of the big infrastructure projects. And again, on the back of the coronavirus pandemic, government have committed to put more money into the capital programme, to accelerate that capital programme, to get more done, both to improve the facilities we've got for our children, but also get the economy back on its feet.
Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes? You were talking about money being available. It used to be said of Treasury, the answer's no. Now what's the question?
Yeah.
And you've been coming forward with plans for education, sport and culture, and seemingly pushing an open door.
I'm not sure it's open door. Fiscal prudence is still very important. We should not waste money just because we're in crisis. And I think Treasury have been very good at looking at some of the options. On the other hand, we saw, for instance, at Nobles, when they needed an oxygen manufacturing facility, that was done very, very quickly because it was seen as priority. And rather than making an appointment to go and see Treasury, they're now in the meeting right from the word go. So they can react a lot quicker and actually have that financial scrutiny at a much earlier age, rather than developing a plan for it then to be kicked back by being unrealistic. And what we found in terms of government is this working together rather than working in separate departments is key, both to getting us through this, but also for the future.
Ramsey MHK, Dr. Allinson is with us today on the Mannin Line. He's Education, Sport and Culture Minister. There's no government media conference today. There's an emergency. Tynwald this afternoon. What do you expect to happen there today?
I've given up trying to expect things out of Tynwald and the House of Keys. What I expect is a democratic debate and scrutiny about everything government's been doing. Some people have been a little bit worried about the pace of change, but there has, I think, been scrutiny by all political members, whether they're inside government or out throughout this process, and we've been trying to communicate with them. The big thing this afternoon is a transition bill to get us out of the state of emergency. State of emergency is a phrase, but it's really quite symbolic. When we started this, the state of emergency gives really quite important but far-reaching powers to government, to the Chief Minister, to do all sorts of things, closing down schools, closing down pubs, closing borders, the full works.
Speed limit.
Yep, speed limits. We are hoping to lift that on the back of a paper that's going to go before Tynwald today, a motion that's going to go forward, which gives a transitionary period to get rid of most of the state of emergency parts, but keep some of those key parts. For instance, the right of people not to be evicted because they can't afford the rent. We need to taper that off gradually, rather than have lots of people being made homeless because they've lost their job. Also, keeping the borders secure. There are other parts of that we need to carry on for the next couple of months while we gradually come back to normal, and we look at the legislation we've got to see how we can strengthen it for any future threat that we might face.
Jan dropped loads and loads of messages. My child, says Jan, attends a primary school which has been very lucky to have access to the DESC's outdoor centre. We've been told the centre's not being allowed to be open till September. Why is this when the schools are open?
I think she's probably talking about Ardwallen. We're working with them. Some of their staff were redeployed. And I'd just like to thank the staff at Ardwallen and all the staff across our schools for being so flexible. We've used them to come back into the schools to help with things like cleaning, with catering, with teaching, with caretaking. And because of that, we've had to temporarily close some of the facilities. But as we get into the summer, I'll be trying to get those back up and running as soon as we can.
From Nicola now, can it be considered that the school summer holidays are reduced by 2 weeks, end in mid-August, and give them 2 weeks extra for English, maths, science and sport?
It's certainly something that's been considered. We've approached teachers and their representatives about shortening the summer term. Again, it's only 6 weeks in terms of the school holidays, and the autumn term is a long one. So I think practically it wouldn't make sense to keep schools open for extra time. What we are going to do, though, is put the necessary resources when we do open schools that people can catch up. We'll be trying to identify those children who need a bit of extra support during the summer, and also we're working on a summer programme for all children on the Isle of Man if they want it, which will really help in terms of getting them integrated back, helping them learn and helping them get back to normal so that they can hit the ground running when we get into September and the new school year.
OK, David, hello, you're live with the Minister.
Hello there, hi. I have a question about the gas training on the island. I phoned up in February and asked the training providers in government what was happening because the people who are already doing it are leaving. And they told me in February, the first week, that it was going out to tender. Now, I phoned up this Wednesday, spoke to the same person, and he told me that it was going out to tender. That's 5 months sitting on a tender. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
We need to know on the island what's happening with training, gas training. Otherwise, when you run out, your qualifications run out, I'll have to go to the UK to do it.
Yeah, thank you very much, David, for phoning in. This was an issue, and obviously that when the pandemic hit and the borders shut, it was a problem, because I know some people are having to resit the training and get reaccredited over the summer. I've been working with DOI to alleviate that threat, to make sure that training isn't necessary over the summer, so people have got time to adjust. We're also going to be making sure that we get somebody over as soon as the borders are open who can give the training on island. But the deadline has been shifted by the work we've been doing with the DOI.
The thing is, 5 months ago, the tenders should have went out. It hasn't gone out as of Wednesday.
Yeah,
the provider, the guy I've spoken to, said, I said to him, what happens if the tenders go out on Monday? How long? He said it could be 3 to 4 months before we get anybody here.
No, it won't be. We've been working with the original provider to see if they'd carry on providing the service, and I think they were willing to do so. But as I said, with the borders shut, that was going to be an issue. But as I've said already, the deadline for being reaccredited has been shifted so that people won't have to retrain this summer.
OK, David, keep us up to speed with that. We'd like to hear how that pans out. We're live with Alex Allinson. Dr. Allinson's with us till 1 on the Mannin Line.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Something wonderful happens when the sun shines. The Lifestyle Furniture summer sale is now on, with sensational sunny savings and promotional offers throughout our showroom. With full safety measures in place, it's the perfect time to discover a beautiful new piece for your home in our vibrant and eclectic ranges of living, dining and bedroom furniture, art and accessories. The Lifestyle Furniture summer sale, on now with free island-wide delivery and 0% interest-free credit subject to status. Open 7 days a week.
Most ShopRite stores will open between 8 and 9 on Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday mornings for our senior citizens and vulnerable customers, hopefully offering a less stressful shopping experience for them. Please check your local store for details. We ask that our other customers respect our request at this time to allow everyone access to what they need. We all need to work together to get through this. Thank you from us all at ShopRite.
Calling all retailers. With an all-island reach up to 6 days a week, you should be using Isle of Man Post Office as your local delivery partner. We've adapted to offer local businesses a new cost-effective local delivery service, no matter the size of your offering. With us, you won't need to worry about your insurance, reliability or safety of your products. To discuss your requirements and bespoke pricing, call 698 444 today or email sales@iompost.com. Isle of Man Post Office, your trusted business partner.
I didn't know where to turn to protect me and my children from my violent husband.
My partner verbally abused me, controlled how much money I could spend and who I could talk to.
But my advocate was compassionate and helped me with the police to stop the abuse.
My advocate helped me to get a court order to protect me and stay in my home.
If you need assistance, call Advocate Smith Torbitts Unsworth Limited on 677 888 or email reception@advocates.co.im.
When you need a fitting memorial or headstone for a loved one, contact Manx Memorials in Peel. This long-standing family-run Manx company offer a wide range of granite and marble headstones and memorials, along with an island-wide inscription and renovation service. Manx Memorials skilled professionals will take the time to help you choose a suitable memorial, and we're proud to say we'll beat other local quotes. Call 843 861 or email matthew@manxmemorials.co.uk.
Construction waste today.
Tells recycle for another day.
A builder skip or two.
Tells Skips will bring to you.
Need quality Type 1 stone for your building or contracting job? Then contact Tells with no minimum order for collection or delivery. Call 677 137. Visit Tells Limited in Snugborough or find Tells Limited on Facebook.
Skips are what they do.
We're the guys that hire one to you.
Call Tells Skips today.
677 137.
Going back in time on the sounds of the nation, it's the Caroline Flashback.
Later in the day, the town would be invaded by about 5,000 mods and rockers.
You're listening to Carnaby Street.
President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Chris Williams. This is the medium wave service of Manx Radio, the first ever station to be authorized to broadcast in the medium wave band with a local commercial service for the people of the Isle of Man.
Saturday mornings, 8:30. The Mannin Line with Andy Wint, furnished by Magic Carpets.
12 minutes to 1, and Richard, you're live with Dr. Allinson.
Hello, Minister. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm a key worker in the UK. Very grateful to have an exemption certificate. I have to travel back, my key worker status. Obviously, quarantining for 2 weeks when I return. Now, I have a wife and 2 children. It looks like it's going to be, there's no end to the borders opening at all in the near future. Is it fair to ask someone, just for mental health reasons, if nothing else, to have to completely isolate away from my family in perpetuity, really, for the foreseeable? I am we are able to get access to testing in the UK before we return to the island. Potentially we could get tested here. Is it fair to ask us to do that when the Daily Mail had a 2-page spread last week saying thank you very much, key workers, and then we get penalised when we come home?
Yeah, I'm sorry that you feel you're being penalised. I mean, one of the balancing acts of government is to protect the entire community and individuals. And obviously, you're a key worker. We very much appreciate what you're doing, both in the UK and here on the island. When we had to start this whole process, it was an all-or-nothing quarantine. And what we're now looking at is gradually opening up the borders in a phased way, but also dealing with people like yourself and seeing how we can help them more in terms of going backwards and forwards with the quarantine requirements, whether the entire household has the quarantine, whether we can loosen that off at all, and also use the testing that we now have on the island to have a better process to keep the community safe and make sure that people who are coming backwards and forwards are kept safe themselves. So I'm sorry about the situation at the moment and the way it's making you feel, but we will be reviewing that on a regular basis. And even yesterday in the Council of Ministers, we were discussing some of these aspects, because as we open up the borders and more people from the Isle of Man are allowed to go to the United Kingdom and come back, we will need to try to keep that safe, but also practicable for people so it's achievable in the long term.
Yes, lovely. Thank you. Yes, because there has to be an element of trust, and
absolutely,
we are just as scared of bringing any virus into our island as anyone else is.
And also we rely upon people's goodwill, and you can see that on the news in the United Kingdom, where people are abusing that goodwill in terms of the beaches, all-night parties in the streets. We need to get everyone on board with this and make it fair.
Okay, Richard, thank you. Appreciate your call. Is everybody back at school, Minister?
Quite a few people are, yes. I mean, not everyone, because there's always going to be a small number of people who aren't at school because of illness. What we did right at the start of the viral pandemic was remove the obligation for people to send their children back to school, because there was a lot of concern at the time about the safety of schools. I think we've now proven with scientific research that schools are a safe place to go back to. And it was amazing on Monday when the primary schools opened, over 93% of pupils went back on day one, and 85% of secondary school pupils went back. I think this is an amazing vote of confidence in the schools, in the teachers we've got. What I would do is encourage all those people who want to go back to school. We know that schools are one of the best places for learning, but also we know the power of play. We want to get these kids back together sociably as well, and be able to recognise any trauma that they've gone through, any anxieties that they've got, and deal with that in a proper way. And teachers in a classroom are the best place to be able to do that.
What do you say to overprotective mothers, overprotective fathers who say it's not safe yet, Minister?
Yeah, I think you're being very brave using the word overprotective, because I think particularly what we've been through the last couple of months, you can't be overprotective. There were real concerns. There still are real concerns about people's lives. And we've seen, unfortunately, the tragic loss of life even on our island. What I'd say to those parents who don't want to send their children back to school because they're worried about health implications is I appreciate that. I respect your choice. There is no way I'd ever criticise that very difficult decision that you're weighing up in your head. But if you have concerns, please share them. Please get in contact with your head teacher. Ask them all the work that they've been doing to risk assess their schools, make them as safe as possible, how they've altered the school day, and then also ask them for help in supporting your child at home in terms of their learning. But also think about how your child can gradually be reintegrated to school by using some of the summer programs that we're going to be laying on. So when they go back to school in September, it's not like the first day all over again.
We've got 2 minutes left, and I've got two of the biggest questions. One is the department still at war with the teaching unions? And B, what is the truth about the flumes at the NSC?
Okay, well, let's talk about unions first. No, I'm not at war. I'm genuinely not at war with anyone. I came into a difficult situation that then got almost impossible with coronavirus. The unions, three out of the four unions have been in serious disputes with the department. There's been a lot of bad feeling. It's gone on for far too long. We need to draw a line under this. I think I've developed good relationships with all the teacher unions. I've met all the local officials, and I've also reached out to the national officials in the United Kingdom. Once the state of emergency was declared, we had to stop negotiations on the pay deal. 7 offers have gone in. They were all unacceptable to the unions. That's absolutely fine. They're representing the teachers on the island who do a fantastic job. Once the state of emergency is lifted, which should be imminent, I'd like to restart those talks. We need to get a fair settlement that appreciates the work that teachers do and settles recruitment and retention for our island. In terms of flumes, I'm not at war with anyone in Turkey or flume makers, but it's incredibly, to be honest with you, it's embarrassing the way that's dragged on. As Minister, I'm embarrassed. So I've had a couple of chats with the department of how we can sort this out as soon as possible to get the NSC back to a full facility, to get those flumes back so that the entire pool is open as soon as possible. It's a complicated job. There's loads of things about designs. At the end of the day, it has to be done.
When do you think? When do you think?
End of the summer.
Okay. Good to be with you today. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
And terrific to see you live in the flesh as well. Dr. Alex Allinson, Ramsey, MHK today. And the Mannin Line is back on Monday at 12 midday. If you want to get in touch with us out of hours, text 166 177. You can email manninline@manxradio.com, or you can call the answer phone on 682 631. Thanks to our studio producer today, Howard Kane. He's back with Christy after the news with Late Lunch. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you on Monday at 12.
WINT.
The only private